Hey guys, I'm Rob Williams from Base Gracie Jiu Jitsu Gold Coast, and after an interaction with a guy today at the gym, I thought I'd just do a short video. I'll try to be short. I do like to talk. About the change in Jiu Jitsu over the last 25 years that I've been doing it anyway. So I think a lot of students these days have it pretty lucky. Back in the day when I started in 97, and talking to guys who started even before me, the mentality was always the same, that initially Jiu-Jitsu was kind of really only for, like street fighting, and like if you wanted to go fight Veletudo, like no rules fighting and things like that, then that was the main outlet, or you just train for self-defense in the academy. And then eventually the sport was born. And a lot of people enjoy competing. I've competed a lot myself, and I encourage students to compete when they're ready. But I think that how do I put this correctly? Between the UFC and competition jiu-jitsu, the message to the majority of people, I think, from what I'm hearing, is that like it's too much for them. Like the kind of people drawn to need martial arts generally are not terribly confident. They tend to be kind of shy. They might have suffered some sort of physical abuse, whether they're male or female, been bullied or whatever. Even if they're adults now, like if they were bullied when they were young, like it can have quite a dramatic effect on them. I was picked on and bullied at school, so I kind of get it. But I think that the message that we're sending across as the jiu-jitsu community could be better. And I think that like Gracie University, Henna and Rayron, and I think that the approach that myself and my coach Carlos have, where we just want to teach jiu-jitsu to everybody, and I find that there's a lot of people, in going to the gym, I meet a lot of people who are kind of out of shape, wanting to get in shape, excuse me, and they want to do jiu-jitsu, but they're kind of put off. The gentleman I was talking to this morning is a little bit out of shape, a little bit overweight, and he was dying to do jiu-jitsu. And he went to a club, I don't know which one, he didn't tell me, but he was really excited. He went and bought a gi, and he was like, yeah, I'm really into this will be great. And then when he went along, like he couldn't even make it through the warm-up, like he couldn't even make it through a half of the warm-up. And he felt really, I should really get him to talk about it. Maybe I will. Anyway, so he felt really discouraged, to say the least, and didn't enjoy the class, and I don't think he went back for more. We're at the gym, and he spotted my Gracie tattoo on my leg. That's how we started talking. And we kind of unraveled his experience and stuff like that, and I'm really hoping, I gave him a business card, and I'm here in my home dojo. I've got a Gracie garage, I guess you call it, at home. And so I've invited him around to my house, like just do a one-on-one, like let's just get you on the mat. You want to learn jiu-jitsu? Well, guess what? I teach it. And I love teaching people jiu-jitsu, so you want to do it and I want to teach it. So like, let's get together and do this. And I think that the original mentality that Helio Gracie had, where I can't remember if it was 40 or 80 classes, like private lessons you had to do before you started getting into normal classes, was to prepare people, like not just mentally but physically, and so that they know some stuff, so they're not going to occupy a lot of the instructor's time. They're not going to feel inadequate. They're not going to be clunky on the mat. They're going to kind of know what they're supposed to be doing. And I've been doing it lately. I've been encouraging students to get private lessons, and any of you that have been following me on YouTube will have seen Rain and his journey over the last 16 classes now. And we call it White Belt Diaries. Like we're kind of video diarying his journey through Jiu-Jitsu so far. And like, it was just private lessons from the start. No rolling whatsoever, just drilling. And even then his body was like, he's a fit kind of guy. But then he still had, like, his muscles were a little sore, and he was like, oh yeah, like this is, And that was just drilling stuff because it was unfamiliar to his body. And then a few weeks into it, you know, like in the particular position we'd been working on, like I could tell, I just added a little more resistance and he kind of responded. And then, you know, like the next training session a few days later, he was like, oh yeah, I felt that, you know, like, and his body is slowly adjusting to it, even though he's fit. And then about a month into it, we did our first kind of positional sparring and stuff, same thing. Yeah, so he's getting like, his body's adapting, he's getting used to the different muscles that he's using and slowly making his way into free training, which he did the other night, and he really loved it, you know? And then he wakes up a few days later, I'm due to see him tomorrow, and he'll be like, oh yeah, I was pretty sore after that. But like, imagine just going straight into that as someone who's not fit, you know, who's not confident, you know, who is maybe a little bit out of shape, and like making the introduction to the art like really difficult. And I know how I used to train my students a decade ago, you know, the way I was trained, like 40-minute warm-ups and hell, you know, and we produced an amazing competition team. But those people, fit, strong, confident people, are going to come and train at the academy anyway. So I think that there's a message to be had that I'm kind of slowly listening to. I'm listening to the people who are wanting to do jiu-jitsu, but who have either tried it and then left it really quickly, or they really want to try it, but there's barriers in the way. And so I'm slowly listening to these people and trying to remove those barriers and inviting them onto the mat for private lessons so that they can get to know me and I can get to know them, and then we have a relationship. So eventually when they come to a class, we already have a relationship. They kind of already know the coach, so like that's cool. And they know their way around the mat a bit, so like that makes things easier. And their body's a bit more adjusted to it, so like that makes it, that just removing those barriers, you know. And if you're really fit, if you've been a competitive athlete, then like you'll probably be fine just jumping into a class. But the majority of, there's a huge amount of people out there who want to learn jiu-jitsu who have never been a competitive athlete, you know, and they primarily want it for building their self-confidence and building their self-esteem and things like that. And we all know that self-confidence and self-esteem and even building our body isn't something that happens overnight. It's something that takes time, and we have to start off just like when you start off doing weight training. Use a little resistance or no weights at all. Just use body weight. And then when your body isn't enough, then you can slowly start adding weights. So I'm starting to see jiu-jitsu in kind of a similar vein. And I think as I get older, my attitude towards it's changing. And sure, I don't compete anymore, but I'm certainly not going to hinder my students' desire to want to compete, or if they want to go into MMA, that would be amazing. Like, that's kind of more my jam. But yeah, anyway, if you're one of these people, if you've ever thought about doing jiu-jitsu, or you've done it and left quickly, yeah, I'm really interested in hearing from you. I'm really interested to hear what you would like to see or have happen to make the start of you, because it's the start of the journey that's the most important. You know, the first month or two is really crucial. So I'd like to hear, you know, either your experiences or like things that you wish were there. I really want to know what you'd like so that I can provide it. I'm doing my absolute best, but I'm not perfect. So I want to hear from you. If you're on the Gold Coast or towards Brisbane, because I've got, you know, a few academies here, like my coach is in Brisbane. I've got a place in Loganley and I've got a place in Nerang. The one in Nerang is kind of small class private groups at the moment, but as that grows, it'll become an academy. And yeah, I want to hear from you. So, contact me. I want to hear from you. I want to teach people jiu-jitsu, and if you want to learn it, then I'd love to be your coach. Or if I'm nowhere near you, I'd like to put you in the direction of somebody, you know, of a similar mentality who can help you on your journey the right way. Cheers, guys. Have a great day.